Oh, welcome to the Regen Network Community Update for the 18th of August, 2021. It's been a busy couple of weeks in Regen land and the larger Cosmos ecosystem. So first off, you want to speak to this one, Dan?
Yeah. Thanks everybody for
You're on mute,
joining.
I think.
So it looks like proposal number three passed, increasing that
I
active
can't hear you,
validators that
Dan. Can other people hear
can't
Dan?
really.
I can
Yeah, I
hear
can
him.
hear him.
We
Uh,
can hear him.
yeah.
Oh,
Okay, good. This is just Gregory now. So yeah, I'll just keep talking while I wait for Gregory to fix his audio. So yeah, the proposal passed on August 6th, of course, that Friday. Huge voter turnout. It was the largest one yet. So thanks everybody for voting. 77.9% voter turnout and 95.3% voted yes. So looks like it passed with flying colors. Of course, the parameter updated the number of active seats to 75. If you're a new validator, go ahead and please tag me in the Discord so I can give you the validator role. And that way you'll be kept up to date on any of the announcements and everything. I put a little link there for you. But I believe most everybody is already tagged as a validator. So yeah, thanks again for everybody for this one. I'm really excited.
unmute myself. Right. Thanks, Dan. So some news from the larger Cosmos ecosystem. Gravity Dex, the user interface for Gravity Dex finally came online yesterday, Imerys, after much anticipation. And I just went and snagged a screenshot just a minute ago before we started the call. And it looks like the Regen Atom trading pair is leading the way there in the ecosystem, which is exciting. So plenty of deep liquidity coming online in our larger ecosystem for people to move in and out of Regen and to make sure that there's, plenty of liquidity. So now moving along here. So the Cosmos SDK in the larger ecosystem, Cosmos SDK version 0.43 was released last week by the Regen engineering team. This is a big leap forward. It's almost as big of a release as the Stargate release, which ushered in the inter-blockchain communication protocol era. The two big modules, which are important to wrap our heads around, are Auth-Z and fee grant modules. Both of these modules were conceptualized in a hackathon in Berlin by Aaron Krelius, our CTO, around the user stories of land managers, land stewards, farmers being able to interact with the blockchain and ensuring that the right approach to key and fee management and permissions was taken to create a flexible user experience, but also give them the full ability to claim sovereignty over their sort of keys and their assets. And so both of these modules open up the ability for people, for instance, for an exterior account to pay for gas for another address, for instance, so that you might have land stewards who are using an app to feed data or to make claims, but aren't necessarily managing a private key on that device that somebody else is paying for the gas, an institution, the farmers cooperative, whatever it might be. So there's sort of an ability, this opens up a lot of flexibility from the layer one on up for a great user experience for our land stewards. And it turns out the reason this is in the Cosmos SDK instead of just in Regen Ledger, a lot of extra work and auditing and care went into making sure it was universally applicable, is because these sorts of features are useful for every blockchain out there. And so this is kind of a beautiful story for the Cosmos ecosystem, and we're certainly very excited about it at Regen. Right. So moving along here. We've got a piece here on the foundation token delegation policy. There's an AMA coming up tomorrow, and Mr. Will Zoll has joined us from the foundation to talk a little bit about the discussion that's going to be had and what some of the points are to think about for the community.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. So we have these 30 million regen tokens for the community staking DAOs that we're actually very soon going to be launching some of our first DAOs. So you can stay in the loop and follow that as it happens. We should soon have a few DAOs up and running. In the meantime, though, the foundation is stewarding these assets, and there had been kind of some community conversation early on about this and what we should do with these assets. And there had been a decision that they should be delegated, and they should be delegated in a way that benefits the network as a whole. And there had been one algorithm we'd been utilizing for the last 3 months. Then, as Dan had mentioned, we now have an expanded validator set. There have been a number of ideas about how we upgrade the delegation policy from this point forward. The foundation decided this was a big enough discussion that we wanted to pause this month's allocation, the 5 million that we would normally delegate, and open this up to a community discussion. There's a blog post, a retrospective that I wrote up looking at the last 3 months, which you can find the link here. I did put together a spreadsheet that does some analysis of kind of some of the trends we were seeing and the influences that this allocation had. We are hosting an AMA to discuss tomorrow over on the Discord channel. That's going to be with myself, with Gregory, with our board member Kia from Gnosis, who has had a fair amount of DAO work over the years, and then with Chris from Chainflow, who is very interested in kind of the decentralization side of proof of stake. So please come and join us tomorrow. There's also a forum thread up on the Regen forum. We'd love if you could jump in there as well. At a high level, the 3 options are just keep the policy as it is, delegate to the kind of top 50 validators, adjust to include the new validators. There could be minor modifications to the algorithm that we use, or maybe there's something else we want to incentivize. So we're definitely open to creative ideas from the community about other ways that we could be approaching delegation.
Like Cosmos Station. Just one of the
an option.
Just to let everybody know, there's a conversation with Cosmos Station. Lots of people are hoping to get a mobile wallet that integrates with Regen, and there's been conversation about incentivizing them to support us through perhaps delegation. There's different institutions and conversations, so that's one of the things that we might talk about tomorrow. And for you Cosmos Station fans out there, we are listening and working on that. So
and I guess the one other thing is timeline. We intend to have a decision about this following this kind of community process by the end of the month.
Great. Thanks, Will. All right, so now we want to talk a little bit about the community token allocation. I'll briefly outline this, and then I'm going to pass it over to Will as well to be communicating about this. So we had initially allocated at Genesis 3 million tokens for an airdrop or other form of valuing and engaging with the larger Cosmos community. We did do sort of a micro airdrop of 250,000 regen to Atom holders. So we have a 2.75 million left, and we'd like to use those in the most strategic possible way. And we have some ideas to socialize with the community. We feel like this is really a large stakeholder conversation to have. And so Will, again, from the foundation side, has some suggestions. I think he's going to be stewarding with some support from us, sort of a collaboration, a forum post and some other discussions. But Will, do you want to just like outline to everybody sort of like the main thrust of what seems possible here?
Yeah, sure. And there is more material in this slide. It looks like when the slide presentation is live, it doesn't update from
I will.
the
I'll refresh so I
yeah.
can be talking.
So the context here is that when we had written the white paper, there, there were no kind of dexes and yield farming and things like that. Airdrops were how people were distributing tokens to the community. Now the blockchain space is a lot more developed than it had been back then. There are a number of kind of very compelling avenues for getting tokens out to the broader community in a way that benefits the community as a whole. And in light of that, we feel like it's in kind of the best spirit of what we had written in the white paper to essentially put these tokens over to a community vote. And some of the options on the table that like this will be up to the broader community, but some of the things that we think people might want to consider would be either putting these into yield farming incentives. That could be on both Gravity DEX and on Osmosis as well. And again, just like with the foundation delegation policy, if there are some very creative or out there ideas about how we want to use this pool of tokens, we're very open to hearing that as well. So I'll be getting a forum post together and creating a spot for community conversation around this topic over the next few days here. Anything else you'd like to add on that, Gregory?
Sorry about that. I forgot to re-present here too with Will's last couple points. That sounds great. Well, so yeah, I expect a forum post about this, some conversation, a signaling proposal on chain in the coming weeks. There's going to be a lot of activity, so everybody roll up your sleeves. We've got a lot of governance heavy lifting to do to keep Regen Ledger evolving here. So speaking of which, there's a big network governance and upgrade coming soon to Regen Ledger. This is going to be Regen Ledger version 2.0, and our developer relations engineer, Ryan, has written up a fantastic forum post sort of outlining the whole upgrade and some of the nuances and processes there. The major features that are going to be available are eco credits on mainnet, which is going to allow minting and exchange and retirement of ecological credits. The first vintages that will be issued will be representations of the carbon credits that have already been purchased by Microsoft and others. And then there'll be vintages that are available for sale. So this is really where the rubber hits the road, folks. It's pretty exciting. So I want to just pass it over to you, Ryan, if you'd like to just share any other context. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Gregory. So the proposal, signaling proposal is up in the forum, as Gregory mentioned, and it's an opportunity for community members to ask questions and provide comments. It goes over what Corey said a couple weeks ago when we were revving up for this, which is that the initial version of the eco credit module will be permissioned, meaning there will be an allow list for designated credit class designers. And one of the reasons for doing this is that there might be some data migrations that need to happen when we introduce the data module with Regen Ledger v3. So we would just want to make sure that we're providing the best user experience, and that when people are creating credits, they're giving thoughtful consideration into the credit class methodology. And then included in this upgrade will also have new credit type, which the initial credit type will be a carbon, which is a carbon, it's called a carbon credit type, which will be a carbon equivalent. And this will be a default parameter, so it'll be added with the upgrade. And then this credit type will be the first credit type used for the Carbon Plus Grasslands credit that R&D team has developed, and that plans to create credit class for on chain after receiving the approval from the community to be added to the allow list for credit class designers. So there's a few proposals, or I mean a few proposals here in the works. One is this initial signaling proposal, just to make sure that we have the support of the community, and then that will be followed by the actual upgrade proposal, and then R&D plans to submit a proposal to be added to the allow list for the credit class designers. And please, add questions, comments in the forum post, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Right. And so by permissioned here, we really mean community governed. So the community is going to be governing to start who has the ability to become a credit issuer. And we will be, R&D Inc. will, and other organizations, we hope, will be sort of like going through a standard process to be added to that list, as Ryan's saying. So that's one of the key pieces to understand here is, and we really wanted to parse that out so that there's the code that everybody can understand. And then there's the sort of like the concept of having a, whitelist instead of just totally like anybody can do things, which we think is important as there's a lot of evolution, as Ryan's saying. And then we will be going through a process to be added by the community as an issuer. So that's, again, just sort of distilling what Ryan has already said. So there's a lot of complexity here. We'd love people's thoughts and feedback and engagement on the forum post. I'll also be trying to host maybe a Twitter Spaces to just talk more in depth about different elements of this in the coming week or two, probably several times, just so we can have some dynamic conversation and make sure that there's space for people to hear and give feedback and engage that isn't just on the forum. Okay, so moving along here, this is what Ryan just went over. I'll pass it back over to Dan to chat a little bit about where we're at, continuing to work towards having some community incentive programs for people to be helping build the network.
Thanks, Greg. So this is still moving along. We are just in the final stages now. Basically, as everybody knows, we have to KYC. That's kind of the step forward. So currently setting up a KYC portal with Synapse like we did for the airdrop. I just gave them the rest of their information, so now they'll be building that for us. And we're going to be upgrading the community webpage. So at regen.network/community, there's a little community webpage. We're going to update that and add a portal that makes it easy for community members just to click, and then they can register via a type form. That information will come to me. I'll check it out and be in touch with you guys. So there's also a blog post that'll be coming out as soon as that web page is done. So with instructions and the incentives, the different types of things that you can get incentivized for.
Great. Thank you, Dan.
Almost done.
And as always, you can go to the public roadmap. We are working to make sure that this is up to date. A few teams haven't quite yet moved this week, but there's a bunch of stuff that has moved. So you can go there, get a general sense. We are going to be doing better at making sure that this is up to date every couple of weeks. But you can see the things that we're engaging in over there. And, there's a link here to the community calendar, which has these calls and other items. Like if we get a Twitter Spaces thing going on community governance, that's the type of thing that'll get thrown into that calendar. And as always, this will be recorded and shared up on our YouTube and out into our channels so that everybody can keep track of things. And there was a lot of news, so we didn't quite keep it to our 15 minutes, but we've got about 10 minutes here to open it up for questions and conversation. So I'll just take a pause and see if there's any comments or questions. So there's two questions here in the chat. Will Regen Network Will R&D Inc., I think is who you're really asking to, be audited for assurances to the community? There's probably other layers of transparency that are important. Sure, that sounds like a good idea. Specifically, I think the pieces that are already fully public and fully transparent, which is quite significant, are everything related to the community staking DAO and foundation operations. You can go see all bylaws and all of those things taking place. And you can also, the public ledger itself has all of the allocations, addresses, and all of the, you can just watch transactions in real time. I think probably we could put a little bit of extra work into making sure known addresses are listed and like creating some sort of community monitoring system. I think that would be quite helpful. R&D Inc. Yeah, I'm happy to have a think about how to be most effective and transparent with the community about our operations. Your second question here in the community staking DAO allocation have Pacific Islands been considered to be engaged with? And I've definitely had some thinking about it, and recently have had some cool conversations with some acquaintances who've done a lot of work in the Pacific Islands. I'm quite excited about where those might go and how they might be parlayed over to the foundation for consideration. But at the moment, I'm not aware of any active conversation with Pacific Islanders, but that would be really fantastic to be working to help build climate resilience and support them. So
yeah, and we do have the Discord thread on the foundation. That would be a great place to put any ideas you have in that direction. And Revathi, our executive director, would likely follow up with you.
Awesome. Beautiful. Yeah. Engage in the Discord, and yeah, Revathi will definitely follow up. That's exciting. Very exciting. Cool. So any other questions, comments, concerns out there? We covered an awful lot. So could be general, could be specific about the upcoming network upgrade, or anything in between. Target date for the upgrade. That's a great question. No, I would say there's like a target geography, maybe. If we just sort of backtrack and we say, there's a 14-day governance period. Once there's been an audited, tested piece of software that everybody can look at, that's going to take, let's say, at least 2 weeks from the moment that we cut the release. So I think Ryan, is it safe to say that we're just about to move into like a sort of like a release candidate mode where we might have about a month or so after that moment?
Yeah, we're planning on cutting a beta at the end of the day today. The final thing is just getting the upgrade handler merged in. And then once the beta is cut, then we're starting our auditing process. And then hopefully a release candidate will happen early sometime next week is the ideal, unless anything major comes up. So yeah, as Gregory is saying, the signaling proposal would need to go through and pass, and that would take a couple of weeks, and then there would be the upgrade proposal that would follow. So we are at least a couple of weeks out until the upgrade proposal, and then a couple of weeks until that passes, that the actual upgrade would happen.
Yeah, and so the more engagement we get on the signaling proposal now, the quicker it can get up, and we can be sure that we're moving forward, pending all of the audits and everything with the on-chain governance. So yeah, I mean, let's just say on tight turnaround, maybe this is going to be live on chain in mid-September. In a more sort of like, if things move a little bit slower, maybe it'll be the end of September or early October. These are just sort of guesses. It's really dependent on these multiple sort of interdependent processes, from community governance to quality assurance and auditing, and each one of those has to do its thing. So hopefully that's helpful context. And Paul's just commenting on the Auth, Z, and Phi grant. Yeah, super excited about what the Cosmos SDK is going to be able to do with those two modules. It's really a big deal. And I think the Regen engineering team has several more really big deals up their sleeve as well coming up over the next few months. So it's pretty exciting times for the whole ecosystem, I think. All right. Well, we're coming up here towards the end of the hour. I want to thank everybody for contributing. Thanks, Dan and Will and Ryan, for hopping on to share pieces of the puzzle. Thanks, everybody, for hopping on to listen and for your questions. As always, ping us on Discord or Telegram. And if you got questions or comments, and please go have a look at this sort of draft signaling proposal that's up on the forum that Ryan wrote, and I'll put that. There's a link there, but just so everybody can see it, it's right here in the chat. I'll also be putting that back into Discord and around in several different other places. Have a look, have a comment, and let's see if we can't get this into shape in a way that feels good to do a signaling proposal, because that'll really allow things to move, I think, quicker through the multiple processes to get this up on chain, if that's what seems best. So yeah, thanks everybody, and see you all out there on the interwebs.
Thanks everyone. Thanks, Gregory.
Bye, guys. Bye-bye.